Hi, I'm here to talk about Star Trek Voyager, which was a show that I had been considering watching for a long time because of 709. I loved Star Trek Picard, and I thought that 709 was a really good character in the show. So I thought it would be cool to see Voyager. And I decided to go ahead and finally give Voyager a chance. And I thought that starting at season 4 would be odd, but I thought it would be worth trying to see if I could follow along with what was going on. And I was able to understand some things, and I was enjoying some things, and I ended up liking what I was watching, and because of some interest that I had, I kept watching a lot of season 4 episodes. And uh, my friend Spidey Librarian recommended some episodes, and I think that he recommended seeing the first episode. So I thought I'd go back, see the first episode, and I saw some of the other early episodes, and I enjoyed them. And I was expecting to really like 709, but I didn't know if the other characters would appeal to me. But I feel glad that I actually do like a lot of characters in Voyager. And I ended up liking some characters more than I was expecting to. Because for a while I thought that my interest in Star Trek would just be Picard related characters, characters from the Next Generation and Picard. I thought that would be like my era of Star Trek. I feel like other eras would have some neat characters, but not characters that would want to follow a bunch of stories around. But Voyager has a lot of characters that I like. Um, 709 is one of them, but it's not just her. I really like the Doctor. I think that the Doctor is a really interesting, entertaining character. Um, and a character that's able to provide a lot of comedy relief, but also has some really interesting stories and sometimes some really emotional ones. Tom Paris, um, I think, is a similar sort of character in the sense that he's really funny. He's a lot of fun to watch, but he can also have some really good stories and be very emotionally compelling and be a flawed character, but still likable enough to work in Star Trek. Um, I feel like he has the type of role that I wish that Kirk had had in Star Trek, where I think that Kirk would work really well as a sort of supporting character, comedy relief that can have some likability to him, but not lead the show and not be the captain. And I feel like Tom Paris feels like a version of Kirk that works for me, like Kirk done right. Um, Neelix is funny. Tuvok's pretty cool. I think that Janeway is a good character. Captain Picard is definitely my favorite Star Trek captain, but I do like some other Star Trek captains, and that felt good to know. I do think that Janeway is a character that does have some flaws. I think she makes some questionable choices. I do think that she feels like she's taking things more seriously and has more maturity to her than Kirk, though, which I appreciate. And I think that she's an appealing character that adds some good stuff. And I think there's a lot of fun character stuff and good character interactions. It's really fun when Q shows up. Um, there's a lot to really appreciate in Voyager, and I didn't know if there would be aside from 709. And I feel like 709 isn't as likable in Voyager as she ends up being in Picard, but I think that Voyager starts her off on a really good path. Chaotica stuff is a lot of fun. I really like him a lot. I wish that he was in more episodes. So there's a lot to really like in Voyager, in my opinion. I think that it's actually a good show with some good emotional stuff and some stuff that I think captures some of the heart of the next generation. Not to the same level as the next generation, but there's some stuff that works. It's got hard, appealing characters. I really like it.